Welcome to Equal Inspired, the inclusive podcast, brought to you by Equal IT.
Ruchi Yadav joins us, who is an integration consultant at Avella AS, which is an integration consultancy in Oslo. Ruchi also has a PhD in electronics and communication engineering, and after moving to Norway a couple of years ago, she kickstarted her tech journey and quickly earned over 25 certifications in IBM, Microsoft Azure, and AWS. Ruchi is also the CEO of Gita AS, which is a non-profit organization dedicated to helping individuals from diverse backgrounds navigate the Nordic job market. And her impressive contributions in the tech community have led to numerous accolades, including being named one of Norway's top 50 women in tech 2024 by Avella, gaining recognition as a Microsoft MVP and IBM champion, and achieving a position of the board of DevOpsDays Oslo, which is one of the country's largest DevOps conferences. On top of that, Ruchi serves as a global ambassador for the Women Tech Network, and she is an active member of Women Tech Makers and Code Bar. She was a finalist at the Nordic Women in Tech Awards 2024, which is where I had the pleasure of meeting her. And this year is a current finalist for the Her Awards 2025. And you can support her by voting in the link that you'll find in the comments section below.
Thank you so much. It is an absolute privilege and honor for me to be coming to your podcast. You are such an inspiration for me. I remember the time that we met at NITA 2024 Awards. It was absolutely mesmerizing for me having the conversation with you, how we got connected, and finally meeting again. Thank you so much, Ali, for inviting me to your podcast.
Thank you so much, Rishi. Honestly, that really means so much to me. Like, it's so heartwarming, and it was amazing to actually meet in person in Oslo. It was amazing to be able to interview you for the Nordic Women in Tech Awards vlog. And it is even more amazing. Yes, I'm using amazing 3 times to welcome you on the Equal Inspired podcast episode, because I too am truly inspired by the journey that you have had, the tenacity, the resilience, and everything that you're achieving, and the recognition that you're getting, and how you're paying it forward. I would love to know who or what is inspiring you at the moment.
For me, I think since my childhood, my parents and my grandparents, they have always been my greatest inspirations. They instilled in me very strong values of perseverance, curiosity, and kindness. I'm also motivated by pioneering women in technology who break all the barriers and pave the way for the future generations, proving that the passion and determination can change the world. It is an absolute inspiring thing for me. And apart from that, I'm also inspired by Mother Teresa and the learnings that she gave of being kind to everybody. Even in my keynotes and talks, I always mention one of the things that is really close to my heart. The feeling that you need to be kind, or you can be kind to anyone in any way. Even just a smile and a good morning every day can actually lighten up somebody's day. If somebody is having a bad day or a bad start of a day, I think even that small gesture could also mean a lot. So for me, it has always been a highest inspiration point to just be there for the people. And it is just an amazing thing that I'm surrounded by wonderful people, and I'm really grateful.
Totally agree. Kindness is so important. It's so important. Treating people as people. And the fact that you have these inspirational figures in your life, the support from your family, is truly wonderful. Truly, truly wonderful, Ruchi. And thank you so much for sharing that. And just putting the magnifying glass onto your experience, could you describe your technical focus?
My core expertise, it is in integration, specifically helping the organizations to streamline and connect the systems efficiently, effectively. And as an integration consultant at Avella AS, that is a firm that I work with. We work with cloud technologies, primarily IBM and Microsoft Azure, to design the architectures that are more secure, more efficient, and scalable. I also keep a very strong focus on the DevOps practices to ensure the continuous delivery, continuous integration. Overall, my goal is to help the companies to adopt future-proof solutions and enhance the collaboration, reliability, and innovation.
When did you actually realize that you wanted to work in tech? And I guess initially, like what did tech actually look like for you? What was your view or perception of what was possible?
So as for my education qualification, I have completed my PhD in electronics and communication engineering. And my fascination began in my early academic journey, especially during my PhD in electronics and communication engineering. So it was an intersection for me of hardware and software that intrigued me. I loved the idea, the technology that could actually solve real world problems in a tangible ways. My professors and peers who were already deep into the research projects, they really inspired me to dive in. And once I started building and experimenting, I realized that tech has endless possibilities. So that excitement that has never left me, it actually pushed me that I relocate to Norway a few years ago to explore more global tech landscape. So that has been a a proper journey for me.
Taking that initial educational path into more the electronics, what was it that fueled that for you out of interest?
For me, it was my topic was more related to so it was mostly combination of medical, electronics and IT. So it was detection of epileptic seizure that is using wireless sensor networks and IoT. Epilepsy in itself is a neurological disorder that can happen to anyone. There is no record for it, or maybe, like, for example, what is the cause why epilepsy happen? Is it due to some hereditary tenants, or is it due to an infection, or like what is the basic root cause? So that is still unknown. Even today, we don't know what is the reason why it is happening. The only thing that we can do at this moment is to do the prevention. So, and epilepsy in itself, the census, the reports that say that 70% of the people in the world have actually suffered through epilepsy, or they may get this convulsions at any point of life. It is that common. So for example, if I'm sitting right here in front of you, it might be a possibility that I may just get a convulsion and I might be not in my control. So sometimes it is so minor that you don't even feel it. So it is just like for involuntary movement of your body. And sometimes it is so out of control that a person may even, for example, fall when the person is traveling in a bus, or even lead to a fatal accident. So there are different ranges in this. Some people get maybe like once in a lifetime, the frequency is really low, and sometimes it is so common that people actually get the incidental stages. They get at least weekly 3 or 4 times. So that is the reason that there is a lot of work that needs to be done in this area, because the reason is still unknown. Why does that actually happen? So the device that I wanted to make was to help these people who get the convulsions that are very high in frequency. But again, the data sets are really low, because that is a problem that needs to be solved. But again, when it comes to some really deadly problems, it is somewhere put at back foot. So that is the reason I took up, because there was not huge amount of research done into this particular area. And then I had to actually collaborate with multi people from different backgrounds, from medical journey, to get more insight. Okay, what actually can be done? How can I detect that a person may actually get an convulsion, or maybe get a seizure beforehand? Because there is no actual way, or there are no particular health parameters that can help you detect, let's say, 30 minutes or 40 minutes prior. So the range of the device that made, it is still in the patenting stage. It has got the patent, but we are still thinking to make it a complete tangible model so that people can actually use it. So it has an efficiency that it can actually tell you 15 to 20 seconds prior. It will just send an alarm to you, like the patient, and 2, 3 near and dear ones, saying that, okay, there is a possibility of a seizure. So what the person can do is just find a place, or maybe if there is a nearby medical hospital, provide the help so that the person is doing good. And even if in case the person meets with an accident, an alarm is triggered to the nearby hospital, depending on whatever the location is, if it is possible, and in the network zone, so that the person can be actually helped if something goes wrong. So that is, so here, if you actually see, the area is really broad, and it needs the combination of the medical knowledge, then for hardware, the electronics, and the main portion, or the main development that was needed to be done, was in computer science. And there, when I started learning the programming languages to actually develop it, and so because we need to send the alarm, we need to integrate the devices, and then I realized that I think it would be somewhere really, really useful if I actually start collaborating more towards IT. And that is what inspired me to actually go on this journey into switching into computer science.
I love how You started with one plan. You went in with an open mind. You went in with a passion, a desire to make something better to help other people. And in turn, in doing that, it's led you down a path where you're able to expand your horizon and really, I guess, know and understand what works best for you and the area you want to grow into. And look where you are today. So the journey that you've been on is really wonderful, Ruchi. And I'd love to know, what have you learned from, let's say, your greatest failure in the journey to be who you are today?
I think there has been so many failures that happened in this path, but if I have to summarize, like in one thing that made this journey the greatest one, or like why I really admire this a lot, is that I learned that every failure is an invitation to grow and evolve. My greatest mistake has forced me to actually step outside of my comfort zone, confront my shortcomings, and then cultivate genuine self awareness with myself. In that process, I actually discovered the power of resilience by embracing each setback as a stepping stone. And then I actually found the new ways to adapt, to innovate, and to ultimately strengthen both of my character and my skills. So this has been a greatest learning for me.
Failure is where we learn, it's where we grow. When things are easy, okay, that's nice, but that's comfort zone. And we need to be tested in life, although it's really hard when we're in it and it feels very unfair. But a testament to you, Rishi, for keep going, for that resilience. What would you say you actually learned the most about yourself in a failure that you had then? You said your resilience and you grew and you adapted to that, but about you and yourself.
So for me personally, it has been that there has been time where I was, let's say, in a position which I have never been before. So there is a possibility. So if I have to give you a very recent example, so when I moved from India to Norway, I was pretty much confident that okay, I because education is what has been always and highest value, at least in India, where I've born and brought up. So when I moved to Norway, I was pretty much confident that it is not going to be at all difficult to actually land a job, be it in terms of my research paper publications, and be in terms of okay, I've done academia and also been a part of. So during my journey of PhD, I've also been teaching master and bachelor students. So I had that experience, and I was also research coordinator for international relations division at Sharda University in India. So I knew that I had a lot of baggage of experience and academic and everything. But when I came to Norway, it was quite different. It took me almost 6 to 7 months to actually land to the first job, to my first company, that is Avella AS. And those 6, 7 months were so difficult for me. I think like the toughest 6 months, I would say, or maybe like the second toughest part of my life, because I was coming with the confidence, with the baggage that okay, of course I'll be landing a job. It won't be that difficult for me, and as soon as I did that, I was unable to, and it just took a lot of toll on my confidence, self confidence as well. But then I realized that no, it is important to actually understand that it is a part of the journey. And then after applying for so many jobs, and the major setback that I was getting from the employer was not about my credibility, my education. It was more that when I was applying to the senior positions, because I had a PhD, so they said that I don't have an experience to be in that position. And when I was applying for junior positions, they told, okay, you have a lot of education, we cannot take you to a junior position. That was a very tricky situation, and I didn't know how to combat with that situation back then. And then I was going for the interviews. I used to go till the final round, and then I used to hear that okay, no, this is the reason that we cannot hire you. So I think that is one of the setback, or maybe one of the the biggest failure that I had. And then when I went to current employer, I told them that I know you might find that okay, I'm educationally qualified and this, but this has been happening with me, and I'm really grateful to them that they believed in me. I told them I'll definitely give my best, and the response that I got from especially my CTO, that we completely believe in you, and we really love the honesty that you had, that you told that this is what has been happening with you. And we really love the bunch of honest people that we have in the company, and that is how I landed. So I think that has been something, and the biggest thing that I learned from that is, one, of course, like it is always best to be honest, but at the second, like the best career advice that anybody could actually take from that is, it is something that everybody goes through. So now when I tell my story to the people, let's say who are coming from different countries or whoever I'm talking to, they really feel inspired about it, because until unless you shared your journey, you feel that this is happening with me. And even the reason when it was happening with me, I felt, okay, no, there is something wrong with me. I'm not able to perform better. I'm not doing this. So even at that point, it is really important to be confident about no matter what you do, and be honest. And if if you're in a difficult time, or you're in a difficult situation, just seek out for help. There are so many people, and you're just one question away from them.
What a journey that's been for you, but you kept going. And I speak to so many people right now, Rishi, as well, and they're in a very similar situation, right? They're looking for a new job, they're getting countless rejections, they're not hearing anything back, they're getting to final stage, nothing is coming off the back of it. And it can be so devaluing and have such an impact on your confidence. You mentioned some ways around building a support system to keep going. But how else did you balance, I guess, life, confidence, all of these things while you were searching for something new?
As I mentioned in the beginning as well, my parents, my grandparents, especially my maternal grandfather, he has been not only just a source of inspiration for me, but also a very support system. But again, back they all were in India when I came to Norway. So I then had my biggest support system, my husband. He was there for everything. He was there in every thick and thin. Every time that I was demotivated, he would be there actually to support me no matter what. So even this would be a really nice advice to somebody who is finding it difficult. Like I said, that just seek out for help and people will be help you. In my case, okay, it was a bit personal that it was my husband who was there to help me with everything, because he was already living in Norway. So I think there my journey was comparatively easy, that okay, he could help me with, like, say, personal stuff, for example, how Norway is and the places and everything. So for me, that adapting to the natural conditions was not that difficult, because I had him as a support system. But professionally, for my journey, I think the biggest advice, or maybe the biggest thing that I could actually do, was to reach out to people when I was not getting the job and asking them, and going, for example, like DevOps Days conference. Um, I joined the conference so that I can actually network and meet people. And I am so proud that last year I was elected one of the board member for the DevOps Days Oslo conference as well. So I think really it is really important to have a support system that believes in you, and no matter, just share your journey with them, just ask them, seek out to them. So for me, that has been really useful.
Oh, yeah, it's about putting yourself out there and not being too proud to, like you say, ask for help, have conversations, really try and find that support system, because it is so important to be able to speak about things. And in doing that, in getting different perspectives, you might uncover solutions, you might uncover new ideas, new ways of approaching things, a different perspective. And sometimes when you're faced with rejections continually, it can be hard to see things through another lens and to think, okay, what more can I do here? It can easily become, I'm the problem, I'm not good enough, I'm missing this, I'm missing that. But sometimes it's just about tweaking a few different things. And that's so awesome about the community piece. And we'll touch on that in more detail shortly as well, Ruchi. But when you first moved, I know that your husband already lived in Oslo, which is a great help. But how did you go about finding and joining new tech communities in Norway?
So what I started, just to reach out to people first via LinkedIn, that if they would like to meet for a coffee, or maybe just have a chat. And then once I got that opportunity, I started meeting people. And then it is really important to find the conferences that is happening locally, or maybe join the local community groups that are working towards the area that you are interested in, or you are the part of. I think that is something that is really important, and people are always there to help. So I have joined like the DevOps Days Oslo conference, met people, did the networking back there. And then you can just find, for example, for me, back then I was working as a freelancer as well. So I knew that, okay, I want to find something that is in computer science. And then I started finding the network for my IBM products, for Microsoft Azure stuff. So when you find them locally, you can just go and meet them. You can just message people, or you can join the community groups. I think that is really helpful when you, so network is the keyword, I would say, like, to summarize in a whole.
Is so important. And we often I think a lot of people can talk themselves out of doing these things though, because they feel that who's going to want to talk to me? Or if I reach out to someone, they're not, why would they respond to me? I'm not interesting, I'm not relevant. So especially when you were reaching out to people on LinkedIn, how did you overcome that barrier if you faced it at all? But what advice would you give to others who do hold themselves back from doing that because of that fear of like rejection?
That's a very common feeling I have gone through. So I really understand that. I've been on the other side before. So I know when I'm helping people, it is mostly like to just solve their problems, to help them to even the slightest thing that I can do back then in India, I'm talking about, was to even help them with even boosting their confidence. That is the least that I could do. So now when I came onto the other side, when I moved to Norway, I knew that there would be people. There is, of course, everything comes, it is like a two-way sword that you will also face rejections in the process of discovering the most beautiful fast that maybe you're going to get inspired by them later. So it was same with me. So when I was reaching out to people, it was mostly that I ensured three things for me, that it is going to be quality, that okay, I'm not just going to reach out, let's say, just draft a message from AI and send it to 1,000 people. I think that is definitely not a very good approach. At the same time, it is not ever going to give the quality because you haven't given your 100%. So it is really important to actually make a complete plan. So for me, it was that, okay, I want to work inside this area. This is what fascinates me. This is something that is going to help me to wake up every day and actually do that work. So what I used to do was actually find the people who are uh, doing something that I want to do maybe in my future, and draft a proper customized message. Because when you write it, even in simple words, when you do a communication and where you understand people, I think it is comparatively easy that you can write the message and it is delivered to them in the same way that you want to. And second, even if you're facing rejection, sometimes it is not that people don't want to respond. Sometimes they are busy, they have so many, they are just occupied with other stuff. So it is fine to have like just some patience. Even if they are not responding, that is completely fine. If you feel okay, that person is really important, just maybe ask for a follow up, or maybe just tell them that I'm sorry, I had to bother you, but can you help me with this is. So it is always nice, but it's really important to have a goal in the mind and just keep on working towards it. So for me, even in networking, that is something that I do even today, because I think that is really important, not only in terms of, let's say, personal branding, but even in terms of just letting to know like how people are doing great things, what is their journey, what inspires them. For me, when I was back in that stage that I was looking for a job, I was communicating with people, networking with them. But today, when I am in that position that I can help to people, I do as much as I can. That is the reason that getting inspiration even from my own journey, I started the non-profit organization called Geeta AS, and it is on the name of my mother, because she has always been an inspiration. She always was very kind, and she always guided me that it is really important to help people, just be very kind. So the organization that we have, Geeta AS, it helps the people, especially who are coming into Nordics, who are from different ethnicities, different backgrounds, who are, and especially the women who are trying to get into IT, from a non-IT background, or maybe from some other background, but they want to switch into IT. And we do this completely free. We have mentors and mentees who collaborate. It is completely free of cost. It is just a platform so that I can actually use the network that I have, the mentors, the amazing people I have, to those who are actually in need. So that is the initiative. And yeah, I just got distracted with the question that you asked, but I just wanted to share this with you.
I love that you take a very personalized approach to everything that you do when you're reaching out to people. You're curious, you're thinking about how can you add value to people when you reach out to them. And I just want to say one piece of advice I can share on that as well, in terms of like just overcoming that fear of why would someone want to speak to me. If you have seen someone do something like a talk on YouTube or whatever platform it may be, if you have read a blog post of theirs, if you have seen the achievements, for example, like yourself, Rishi, with the wonderful IBM Champion Award and the Microsoft MVP Award, which we'll speak about momentarily. But if you notice these things and you respect that, you recognize that, you've learned something from it, mention that in your outreach as well. For example, I listened to your episode on this podcast and I really learnt so much around finding confidence, resilience, and your journey inspired me because of where you've come from, how you've grown, how you pay it forward to others, right? That's a nice thing to do. It shows that you recognize this person's abilities, you appreciate them, you value them. And in a world where there is so much noise and chat GPT and people just want to automate things and get things out quickly, that's going to help you stand out for the right reasons. And like you say, Ruchi, it might not work every time when you reach out to someone, but the key is not to take it personally, to keep going, because the more you do something, the more refined you make it, the more tailored you make things, there will come a point that it will work. And then it will be with the right person. Look at the times that it doesn't work. Okay, that wasn't the timing for that right now. That wasn't going to serve me the best way right now. Hopefully in a year from now, who knows? But move forwards, keep going, keep resilience. I want to talk about your nonprofit because it's just so inspiring and so beautiful that you have tied that in with the name of your mother. And again, that connection to family, I know is so important to you. How did that go from having that idea, wanting to help, to then actually launching something like that and impacting the lives of so many in the Nordics?
Thank you so much for the kind words. And I really agree with what you said, that it is really important to actually appreciate something. If there is any piece of content that you see, I personally really feel this, that why it is important. That sometimes, for example, I see your videos, or maybe I see somebody else's videos, or somebody see them. When they get inspired, it is possible that the other person may not know that how inspired you are from that particular thing, or how it has touched you. So even when you give that feedback, or maybe just write up, for example, like you mentioned, like when I see your video, or when anybody sees any content that they really like, it is really nice to just give that appreciation back. And when that happens, the person is even more motivated towards doing that. And I think that same thing even lies, let's say, with awards. So why it is important to have this awards every year? Why it is important? Is it just for recognition? Actually not. There are so many people who are working at the back end. So this push, when you get a recognition, when you're recognized by people, I think it just adds as in fuel for the people to actually bring the best out of them and give back to the community. So answering to your question that you mentioned, that how did this idea come, and why how did I actually establish the organization? So as I mentioned, for me, the journey from moving from India to Norway was smooth. Adapting to the natural conditions was comparatively easy. The only hurdle that I had was actually surpassing the professional culture and getting a professional job. And when I actually did this, I shared my story on LinkedIn, and then the turning point came for me. There were so many DMs that I got after that post, that we are struggling to actually get our first job. We are facing this problem. We are facing discrimination. I'm not happy with my current job. I'm having this situations. And then I started responding to them on LinkedIn, on different social handles. But still, I felt that, okay, there were some of the questions that were out of my scope. But luckily, back then, I actually had really amazing mentors from Norway, from all over the globe, to just ask this problem. So, what I could actually do, the things that I was able to answer, I did that. But then, if I knew anybody who can actually help that person who is having this specific question, or who wants to enter into a particular area, was to more connect them together. And but this was happening at very local scale, and I knew that there were so many people. So this was only the journey that was happening, those who were in my connections. But what about the people who are actually out of my connections and who really need this help? So back then I joined one more Norwegian course, and that is where the idea hit to me. So this was happening. I was getting hundreds of messages, and sometimes it was more like personal DMs and everything. But then when I joined this course for learning Norwegian language, so that is the place where I met people from different backgrounds and who were also learning Norwegian. So that is when the idea came that they also wanted help. They knew some people who wanted help. So that is when I discussed with my husband one night, and I was telling him that there are so many people who go through the same thing. I'm able to do it only just one on one, but I want more people to be the part of this journey. I want more mentors to give back to the community who are really eager to do that. So he just told me, okay, let us start a group, let us start your company then. And I was like, are you sure? Is it even possible? I've just moved few years ago. It is a drastic step. And even I want to do best in my career. How will I be able to manage work? So I think that was a support system. I discussed with my parents, my grandparents. So that is when the inspiration came. I had a really amazing support system, and I told them, okay, let me do it. And I named it on my name of my mother, Geeta AS. And now this is a perfect platform. We have helped around thousands of people. So when we actually officially came out, we had 650 registrations in just one day, and soon. So now we are helping the people. So earlier it was just the idea to help people in the Nordics, because then I had more connections with them. But now it is more global thing that okay, people can just come and register. They can post the queries, and what at automatically will be it will just see okay if this is queries related to a specific area, and then we find the mentors according to them. Even for both mentors and mentees, it is completely voluntarily basis. If you want to help the people, you have some guidance. Let's say for example, when I moved to Norway, I'm a vegetarian, so it was difficult for me to find even the vegetarian options. So even those small things to comparatively, when you are looking for a job and you want a reference, so maybe you can do a small project with with any of your mentor, and just use that as a reference to your company. So even those small things that really are helpful. So that is how the idea came, how it actually came into existence, and now how it is working.
I absolutely love hearing stories like yours where you have been faced with a challenge and you've taken that and you're now using it to help other people and to help other people settle into the Nordics. And I could literally sit here and speak to you for hours about this, Ruchi. I feel like we're going to need to have a spotlight series episode just for your nonprofit. So stay tuned for that, audience. I feel like this is in the works. We'll chat about that after, Rishi. It's so wonderful what you've achieved there, the people you're helping, the lives you're impacting. Community, I know, is so important to you. And we spoke about this earlier, but for the second consecutive year, you have been awarded IBM Champion by IBM. And can you just share with our audience, like, what does that recognition mean?
It just feels like it happened today. It's a very new recent feeling for me. I think being named as an IBM champion, it is both an honor and a responsibility, and it signifies that IBM recognizes my passion for educating, for mentoring and educating for the IBM technologies and the initiatives. So it really motivates me to keep learning and sharing knowledge, especially in the areas that I work with: integration, DevOps, AI, and everything. AI is something that I'm exploring because I think that is now boom of the market. So I'm really happy to be recognized as an IBM champion.
So well deserved. You really give everything, like you give your all back into the community to help other people. And if someone else wanted to like follow in your footsteps, they're watching this today and they're thinking, I want to be like Rushi, which I know there'll be many people out there. How do they go about that? Like, what's the first step for something like that, getting that kind of award and recognition?
So IBM champion in itself, if I speak about, for example, like what were my contributions to become that, first thing, it happens on yearly basis. So anybody who wants to become an IBM champion, just start acting. Even like from today, you don't have to wait for the deadline that okay, this is going to happen now. Like say it happens every year in January and the nomination starts in November. So you don't have to wait, okay, when November starts, I'll start with the with applying the nomination. No, just start from today. So I can speak for myself. So my contribution that speaks about speaking at conferences about IBM products, about IBM stuff, and then writing the technical blogs, guiding organizations like through IBM focused integration. So finding the solution to a real time problem using IBM products. So that is, I think, the one of the key things that you can start on, one of the basic things that can help you moving towards that journey. And then I've also hosted the workshops and webinars to help others understand and adopt IBM cloud services, AI services, And along with that, I think even engaging in open source projects, organizing or being the part of community meetups around IBM technology, that really helps not only to increase your knowledge, but at the same time to actually contribute more. And that IBM stack, it is one of the key factor if you really want to. And I think one thought that you can have, no matter what you do, is just to give back to the community, whatever you have got. So that is, I think, the passion to give back to the community is really important, no matter what your goal you're working towards. And one more thing I would like to add, it is not just about getting that recognition, getting that award. I think when you have this very positive attitude of helping people, I think that the awards, the recognitions are just output or maybe like a throughput that you get out of it. But that should not, what I basically consider, be the goal. The goal should not be to get this recognition, to get this award, but the goal should be to help, to give back to the community, and these things, they automatically fall in place. That is what I personally believe in.
I totally agree with you on that, Rishi. And I was actually going to say that the consistency is important, but being genuine and doing it for the right reasons is absolutely key. And that's how you're going to achieve all this success, because you're not doing it for that. That's just a nice benefit, a nice bonus of the work you're doing. But when you truly want to help people and make a change, people feel that, people see that, people experience that. And that's where the recognition comes in. So, for anybody who wants to follow in this journey, for sure, think about why. Why are you doing it? And really focus in on that and let your why fuel your motivations to continue to aim and strive and achieve for that. But it's so wonderful, Rishi. And on the topic of more recognition, I think this year you got your Microsoft MVP award.
Yes. So this year started, it was I think 1st of January that actually was awarded Microsoft MVP award too. So even this Microsoft MVP award, it is a recognition for the individuals who demonstrate exceptional leadership and knowledge sharing around the Microsoft product and services. It is a testament to one's dedication to broader the tech community. It is about giving back to the community, either from creating resources and solving the problems, and to inspire others to actually learn and innovate. So there is a huge Microsoft MVP community who help people solve their problems, or maybe like just helping them to ease their day-to-day work. That is how. So it was an amazing feeling to be recognized as an Microsoft MVP too.
Again, it's so wonderful. I'm curious, how do you balance contributing to all of these different initiatives, different communities, and manage to prioritize your time? Because you have your nonprofit, you have IBM, you have Microsoft MVP, you have your own life, family. How do you navigate that and balance it all?
This is really interesting. This was an intentional work that I did, because back then, even during my college time, I used to work simultaneously along with my studies. So even back when I was doing my PhD, I was working as an TA, that is like teaching assistantship, where you actually teach your two juniors, like your master students and undergraduate students. And along with that, I was part of international relation division, which was helping the students all over the globe from 86 plus countries to help them in their career, help getting admissions in the university. So in that way, so I somewhere had back in my mind that I cannot just be with a single track. I really want multi tracks for myself in terms of my career. So one of the thing has been that, but for now, if I see that is intentional, I do it with my calendar. Each week I just set aside like the blocks, like for time for community work, time for professional development, and then personal obligations. So for example, I use tools like Trello, Asana, that help me actually organize my tasks and deadlines and just divide them according to how impactful that is. And apart from that, I also regularly reassess my commitments to ensure that I'm not spreading myself too thin. And it is also about maintaining a sustainable pace so I can continue contributing, not just contributing, but actually contributing high quality work in each area. So if I'm doing it, it is all heart in, it is complete with the dedication, or I just try to pace it down.
The great thing is also is with like all of the community things that you're doing and with the mentoring, like you are learning along the way too. Although you're giving back and you're helping so many people and adding value, there's always things that you can learn from others and experiences. So I guess it is like a ongoing cycle of giving back, learning, getting energy from other people, making a difference, and then balancing your time. So it's doable, it's possible. It's just, again, wanting to do it for the right reasons. And when you do something for the right reasons, it doesn't feel like a chore, right? It doesn't feel like really, really, really tough. I mean, it can be difficult at times to juggle everything and keep on top, but it doesn't feel like it's a really negative thing in your life. So, Rishi, thank you so much. I have absolutely loved learning more about your story, everything you're doing to make a difference and positively impact the community. Like, I truly am feeling so inspired. And I'd like to ask you finally, what's your most unexpected skill that you feel has helped you in tech?
This is really interesting too. I think this is something that even I also think about when I'm addressing other people, when I'm trying to help them out. So for me, some very surprisingly, empathy has been a game changer. While tech is often seen as purely a logical space, but I think for me, empathy has helps me to understand the pain points more deeply, and then collaborate better with the teams and even create solutions that are genuinely to serve people. So whether I'm building a software or leading an initiative, for example, like Geeta is, or maybe I think empathy has been something that allows me to see beyond code and focus and to actually see the human impact. So if there is one thing that I would always like to have is empathy.
Totally advocate for that too. Rishi, thank you so much. We have absolutely loved speaking with you.
Likewise, Ellie, thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to share my story, to have a conversation with you. And when I'm personally inspired so much by you, and I hopefully inspire others to pursue their own paths in tech. I'm really looking forward to the future generations.
Thank you for listening to today's episode, and we hope you're feeling inspired. If you are, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, and join us on our mission to create a diverse, inclusive, and equitable universe. This podcast is brought to you by Equal IT, a mission-driven business working to diversify tech teams through refined talent acquisition, complemented by diversity and inclusion consulting. As an Azure Heroes inclusive leader, we aim for teams to cultivate a strong sense of belonging and equity. Find us on Twitter and LinkedIn. We welcome your feedback, questions, and would love to hear from you. Join us next time on Equal Inspired.